Conversations about Final Fantasy VII usually begin with a flex. As someone who thinks Final Fantasy VII is the greatest game of all time, it's the first game I played ever, it's the best game I've played ever, and I've replayed it 553 times. And as that person, my more valid than yours opinion is... Okay, it's not always that hipster, but people really love this game. It's part of their identities. For a lot of them, it awakened an interest in them for a genre they'd never heard of before. And for them, it will always be the first, the best. Now, that person is not me. If there is an opposite of that person, I'm that guy. I'm very famously that kind of guy that is not the other kind of guy. My first experience with Final Fantasy VII was when I was 12 years old, and I played it in my best friend's basement. We both lived in very strict religious fundamental households that probably wouldn't have approved of some of the subject matter. So going down there to play this video game felt kind of like going down to do some drugs. You want to go downstairs and do some Final Fantasy? Oh, that's good. And maybe because it was taboo, that might have played a role in my initial impression of it. I don't know. Regardless, I played it per his direction. He watched me play, waiting for me to have all of the reactions to it that he was sure I would have, and, well, I didn't. I wasn't really that impressed. Sometime later, I picked up other games in the series. I fell in love with Final Fantasy VI and IX, and I started getting into other similar games like Chrono Trigger that I liked a whole bunch. Eventually, I found my way back to 7, and I played it without the watchful eyes of my friend, and I didn't finish it. I don't remember exactly where I stopped. It was somewhere on the last disc, so I did see most of the game, but that reverence that everyone else holds for the game just never came for me. I thought it was okay, it was a decent game, but honestly, I thought it was pretty overrated, and hearing people go on and on about it for years and years honestly kind of annoyed me. Spin-offs and movies were released, and I ignored all of them. I'm just sitting over there waiting for the next Chrono game, while everybody keeps talking about 7 with its stupid Lego characters and its stupid guy with a sword that's too big, and the stupid video game with a vampire guy, and where's Chrono Break? Justice for Chrono Break. Okay, fine, I was a little bit bitter. So when the remake was announced, I wasn't really that interested, and I had a lot of the same concerns that even a lot of more hardcore fans had. You know, they're splitting this up into episodes. The first game's really just going to be Midgar. How are they going to do that? And I didn't really like how unclear the company was being about, how many episodes is this going to be? Are they releasing more parts as DLC, or were they going to charge $60 for every single part of it? And I'm already not really a fan of the game, certainly not enough to be paying $60 for every single episode and just keep playing it in bite-sized increments. Like, count me out, no thank you. And I will tell you, if it were not for a pandemic locking my ass up inside, leaving me with nothing else to do but either play video games or check social media, I wouldn't have touched this. But that's exactly what happened, and I did. And I played it, and after emerging from a 3-day fugue state, I am here to announce to the world, I was wrong about Final Fantasy VII. This game is everything. The opening moments of this game are straight up propaganda. I am convinced of it. When the camera zooms up from Aerith to show Midgar as a whole, and the logo blasts out of the sky, I found myself in tears, and I was very confused about it, by the way. Like, what is this nostalgia I'm feeling for a game I don't even care about? I don't know. I can't explain it. From there, the game is a relentless downhill roller coaster into the underbelly of Midgar, and when I say it's relentless, I mean relentless. You are constantly being propelled from one nail-biting situation to the next. There's not a whole lot in the way of stopping points. It's honestly kind of hard to put down. Just when you think you're in for a bit of a break, another thirsty girl comes banging down the door while you're trying to sleep to drag you off on another worst date of your life. When you are allowed a bit of a break, there's a handful of side quests to do, and I was pleasantly surprised to find that a majority of them were endearing character portraits that really fleshed out the world and the characters. I usually skip side quests in JRPGs, but I actually took the time to do all of them here in this game, and I don't regret it. And that's where this game really shines at its best. You know, in the original game, it had the framework for all of this. It had these great themes about capitalism and economic inequality, ecological collapse, but in the original game, it felt more like an outline. It felt like when you're reading a book and then the perfect movie adaptation comes along and copy-pastes exactly what you imagined and makes it real and tangible. The remake does a fantastic job of fleshing out these ideas beyond just concepts and really making you feel for the people affected by it. The difference between the original game and this game, to me, is the difference between reading about a hurricane in a newspaper and actually climbing out of the rubble of the house you lost in a hurricane yourself. And that kind of empathy building, I think, is something that we really need right now. Walking through the streets after a reactor bombing and listening to the passerby fret about their jobs and the economic impact, wondering how they're going to get to work, even declare that they need to get toilet paper, this was a reflection on our current reality that I just wasn't prepared for.
Food's not the only thing we'll need. I gotta buy toilet paper quick.
It takes it beyond just this is a thing that happened to a level that we can relate to. These are the people this happened to, and they were my friends. Having you spend more time in the Midgar slums is a key component here, getting to know the areas to the point of memorizing the narrow corridors as you grow your contacts in Sector 7. You get to know side characters in a way you never could before with short text boxes you zoom through. The actors' performances coupled with new scenes flesh out characters like Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge. When the plate finally falls, which, by the way, is a scene I completely sleepwalk through in the original game, here I was left devastated. All of these corridors that I'd memorized, all these people I'd gotten to know, were gone. I really felt Barrett's pain as he pummeled the rubble and blasted his gun into the air. The Hollywood Reporter published an article calling Final Fantasy VII the best thing on your TV right now, and I couldn't agree more. The stunning performances, seamless cinematics, and binge style of storytelling made this feel like what the perfect TV adaptation would have been. This was Season 1 of the Final Fantasy TV series. At least, that's what it was as far as my partner was concerned, who's normally intimidated by games like this, but breathlessly watched every moment of my playthrough. That in itself was particularly special to me. Even without the specific nostalgia for 7, it was so cool to be able to share Final Fantasy with someone who never would experience it otherwise. Now, it's not without its flaws. While my concerns with playtime were abated with around a 43-hour playthrough, that was with me doing all the side quests, getting my butt handed to me in a couple fights, but not really pursuing any achievements, there was some noticeable padding. Most of the extra scenes served to flesh out the world and characters, and I enjoyed that. It was padded more in the dungeon areas. Some really overstayed their welcome. There were areas that were maybe a map or two in the original game, and here were like 2 or 3 hour ordeals. In the beginning of the game, the boss battles really dazzled me. I was really blown away by how much they blew up these kind of simple battles in the original game and made it a spectacle in this new one. But toward the end of the game, they just felt like they needlessly went on forever, especially when you were facing boss battle after boss battle after boss battle. And they have these huge HP pools that you're just kind of chiseling away at like a rock.
I don't have time for your shit.
I do have some reservations about the ending as well, but I don't want to go too deep into spoiler territory here. The main thing that I wanted to say was that the remake finally opened my eyes to what everyone else was seeing in Final Fantasy VII all along. Some works of art just need to hit you at the right time. In the original game, I just wasn't ready for it yet. I didn't understand the themes that it was exploring. I didn't care about capitalism. None of the events impacted me the way that they should have. The remake, on the other hand, came at exactly the right time. It came as millions of us are locked up inside, worried as the world seems to be falling down around us, as socioeconomic differences are highlighted more than ever, as we have conversations debating the value of saving the economy or saving more lives. Meanwhile, climate change looms in the background, threatening to make even this feel insignificant. Now that I've beaten it, I have a greater appreciation for what the original game was trying to do, and I've already picked up the remaster for Switch, and I'm playing through it again, savoring all of the bits that I didn't didn't really understand or get before. And you know what? I'm really enjoying it. So, to all of the Final Fantasy VII fans I've trolled before, I'm sorry. You were right. Welcome to my new channel. Did you enjoy seeing me eat crow? Do you like watching strangers on the internet ramble about random stuff? Then subscribe for more.